Rico filed a motion to withdraw as one of Diddy's 6 defense lawyers yesterday.
Diddy's lawyer abruptly withdraws from the case after receiving an anonymous video. What drove this renowned attorney to flee? Anthony Rico, a cornerstone of Sean Diddy Combs' defense team, stunned the legal world by filing to withdraw from the case on February 21, 2025, sparking a frenzy of speculation. An insider source revealed that Rico had accessed a mysterious video containing damning evidence, compelling him to step away rather than compromise his professional ethics. Could this video hold the key to unraveling Rico's shocking decision? Diddy's criminal trial, mired in grave charges of sex trafficking, extortion, and prostitution, has become the epicenter of a labyrinthine legal battle. Did the prosecution inadvertently expose a vulnerability from the outset, or will the defense face an accusation too formidable to refute? These questions weave a tale shrouded in mystery, where every detail could shift the tides. Yet the drama extends far beyond the courtroom, with pivotal figures poised to shape the narrative. At the heart of the case stands Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner, who courageously took the stand to illuminate the dark corners of a once-admired relationship. But she is not the only piece of the puzzle. Christian Combs, Diddy's second son, alongside his girlfriend, appears to hold a crucial clue, though their true role remains veiled in secrecy. Are they tied to the video that prompted Rico's exit, or do they guard an entirely different secret? Each testimony and piece of evidence in the courtroom is like a beam of light, piercing through layers of hidden truths. The FBI holds a trove of undisclosed documents, but what revelations lie in wait? Dive into the shocking withdrawal and the latest courtroom developments, where Diddy's fate hangs in the balance, and stay tuned, every moment could turn the tide.
And this past week, he just suddenly files a motion saying that he's withdrawing from the case.
On February 21, 2025, the legal world was rocked by the sudden decision of Anthony Rico, a seasoned attorney on Sean Diddy Combs' defense team, to file a motion to withdraw from the case. With resolute conviction, Rico declared he could no longer represent Diddy under any circumstances, igniting a whirlwind of speculation about the deeper reasons behind his exit. Just months before the pivotal trial set for May, this move plunged observers into a vortex of questions, wondering what could have prompted such an abrupt departure. Rico's withdrawal was anything but discreet. Rather than a quiet exit, he underscored the impossibility of continuing, citing attorney-client privilege to maintain his silence. Why would a renowned lawyer like Anthony Rico, who once defended high-profile figures such as Osama bin Laden's driver, suddenly abandon Diddy's case without disclosing a single specific reason? Did he uncover something about his client or the case's nature that clashed irreconcilably with his professional conscience? Or was there an unseen force at play coercing him into a silent retreat? In the legal realm, such a dramatic withdrawal often signals profound fractures. Could a hidden secret be lurking beneath the surface? Losing Anthony Rico, a trump card with unmatched experience and prestige, has left Diddy's defense team, led by Mark Agnello and 5 other attorneys, seemingly on shaky ground, struggling to navigate the treacherous legal battle ahead in an increasingly precarious position. In the federal courtroom in Manhattan on May 14, 2025, a heavy atmosphere hung like an iron curtain as the trial of Sean Diddy Combs reached its most intense phase. The wooden benches were packed, the murmurs of spectators blending with the hurried scratches of the jury's pens. The charges against Diddy, conspiracy to commit extortion, human trafficking, coerced prostitution, organized fraud, abuse, and physical violence, loomed like a sharpened blade, threatening to topple the empire he had built over decades. Not a single member of Sean Diddy Combs' family appeared in court, save for his second son, Christian Combs, who arrived quietly alongside his girlfriend. The courtroom fell into a hushed stillness, broken only by the faint ticking of a clock, until Cassandra Cassie Ventura ascended the witness stand, her resolute gaze betraying a resolve honed over years of preparation. Below, Diddy sat motionless, his hands gripping the edge of the table, his eyes flashing with suppressed fury. As Cassie began to recount her story, the room seemed to hold its breath, every gaze fixed upon her. Cassie chronicled her relationship with Diddy, spanning over a decade, beginning in 2006, when she signed with Bad Boy Records at the tender age of 19. "I thought he was my guide, the light for my career," she said, her voice low but steady, her eyes briefly flickering with memories of those hopeful early days. Yet that light soon dimmed, eclipsed by the shadows of manipulation and control. She described how Diddy micromanaged every facet of her life, from her music decisions and clothing choices to the people she was permitted to meet. "He wanted me to belong to him entirely," she said, her voice catching. The pinnacle of his control was the infamous white parties, lavish events held at opulent villas where Diddy coerced her into activities against her will. With a trembling voice, Cassie recounted being forced to consume hard liquor and drugs, then compelled to perform before a crowd of guests, including engaging in sexual acts with individuals Diddy designated. "I felt like I was no longer human, just an object for him to flaunt," she said, her eyes brimming with tears. These parties, Cassie asserted, were not mere revelry, but part of a sinister network where victims were manipulated to serve the interests of Diddy and his powerful allies. The testimony reached its climax when the prosecutor played a surveillance video from March 5, 2016, capturing Diddy assaulting Cassie in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. The crisp footage appeared on the large screen, Diddy wrapped in a white towel chasing Cassie as she tried to flee the hotel room. He grabbed her hair, yanking her down with force, then struck her face with a punch, followed by a kick to her back as she curled up on the floor. Cassie's faint scream was drowned out by the sound of Diddy's furious footsteps. At the video's end, he hurled a vase toward her before storming off, leaving Cassie trembling, struggling to crawl to her feet. The jury sat stunned, some covering their mouths, their eyes wide with horror. Whispers passed among those in the courtroom, a few quietly wiping tears, creating a palpable heaviness in the air. The prosecutor argued that the video was undeniable evidence of a systematic pattern of abuse, bolstering the charges against Diddy. "This was not a momentary lapse," the prosecutor declared, voice resolute. "This is how the defendant controlled those closest to him." The defense team, led by Mark Agnifilo, swiftly rose to counter. "We are witnessing a moment in a complex relationship, not a crime," Agnifilo asserted, attempting to soften the video's impact. He argued that, in a relationship spanning over a decade, emotional conflicts were normal, and the prosecutor's use of the video to support human trafficking allegations was unfair. Agnefilo's argument seemed to fall flat with the jury, their eyes still fixed on the screen where the violent images had just played. Some jurors frowned slightly, their gazes shifting from Agnifilo to Diddy, as if searching for a trace of remorse. Diddy, at this moment, bowed his head, his hands clenching tighter, his shoulders trembling faintly as if suppressing rage. The judge, sensing the mounting tension, rapped the gavel sharply, voice stern. "I request that all maintain order and focus on the legal arguments. Mr. Combs, this is your first warning." The prosecutor pressed forward by calling Daniel Phillip, an unexpected witness, to the stand. Phillip, visibly tense but with a clear voice, testified that he was hired to have sex with Cassie in 2015. "She contacted me, paid me, and everything was professional," he said, but emphasized that the encounters were arranged under Diddy's direction. "I got messages from his assistant spelling out exactly what I had to do," Phillip revealed, his eyes avoiding Diddy's. The prosecutor argued that this testimony proved Diddy's absolute control, with Cassie merely a tool in his human trafficking network. Agnifilo, rising to rebut, sought to undermine Phillip's account. "There's no evidence of coercion," he declared. "Cassie made her own choices, and this witness's testimony shows she had freedom." But Agnefilo's efforts couldn't erase the impact of Phillip's story, especially as jurors began scribbling faster, their eyes flickering between Phillip and Diddy. The judge, noting the escalating dispute, rapped the gavel again, directing Agnifilo. "Focus on the questions, Mr. Agnifilo. We're not here to debate emotions." Elizabeth Voy, Cassie's attorney, rose to defend her client. "Cassie acted because she loved Diddy and felt she had no other choice," Voy said, her voice compelling, her gaze sweeping the jury. She revealed that Diddy had offered Cassie $20 million in 2018 through an intermediary to avoid litigation, an offer Cassie firmly rejected despite threatening calls to her family and the fear she and her husband endured. "They live in anxiety every day, but she stands here for justice," Voy emphasized, prompting nods from some jurors, their eyes reflecting empathy. Voy continued, illuminating the power imbalance between Cassie and Diddy, a young novice artist facing a powerful, wealthy man with an underground network ready to silence anyone who dared speak out. "Cassie had no freedom, only orders," Voy said, her voice low but piercing. Her testimony hushed the courtroom, leaving only the sound of scribbling pens and faint, heavy sighs. When asked about Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime girlfriend who passed away in 2018, Cassie paused abruptly, her eyes welling with tears. "Kim was a strong woman, but she endured what I went through," Cassie said, her voice choked with emotion. She shared Kim's pain, recounting how Kim had confided in her about being controlled, threatened, and manipulated by Diddy. "Kim loved him, but she lived in fear just like me," Cassie said, tears streaming down her cheeks. She also expressed deep remorse for starting a relationship with Diddy while he was still with Kim and their children. "I was young, I was naive, and I was wrong to step into their lives," she said, her voice trembling. "I just want to say I'm sorry, even though I know Kim isn't here to hear it." This confession stirred the jury, some lowering their heads as if grappling with the complex emotions Cassie evoked. Diddy, hearing Kim's name, looked up, his eyes briefly flashing with pain before hardening into anger. He slammed his hand on the table harder than before, prompting the judge to strike the gavel sharply, his voice thundering, "Mr. Combs, this is your final warning. I will not tolerate any further disruptions." Among the audience, Christian Combs, Diddy's son, sat silently, his gaze shifting between his father and the witness stand. The courtroom grew even more stifling when the prosecutor delivered a devastating blow, a secretly recorded audio from 2017, captured by a former security employee of Diddy's. As the recording played, Diddy's chilling voice echoed through the speakers, "Make sure she's ready. If she hesitates, give her help." The security guard, now on the stand with a steady gaze, explained that help was a coded term for drugging, a detail that aligned precisely with Cassie's testimony about being forced to take substances at the white parties. "I recorded it because I couldn't stand what was happening," he said, his voice low but weighty, his eyes locked on the jury. Some jurors bowed their heads, gripping their pens tightly, their faces etched with horror. Digital forensics confirmed the recording was unedited, leaving Agnafilo's defense team on the defensive. Agnafilo rose, attempting to question the guard's motives, suggesting he might have recorded it to extort Diddy. "There's no direct evidence that help meant drugging," he argued, but his voice lacked conviction. The jury remained fixated on the recording, some scribbling furiously, as if trying to capture every detail. Prosecutor Johnson, with a steely voice, emphasized that the evidence, the 2016 video, Cassie's testimony, and the recording formed a razor-sharp point, painting a picture of an organized system of exploitation. Diddy didn't just abuse individuals, he built an underground network to silence victims. Johnson declared, his gaze sweeping the jury. He revealed the FBI had uncovered a list of Diddy's security personnel and assistants, paid handsomely to monitor victims and prevent leaks. These individuals, Johnson alleged, were part of the underground network Diddy used to maintain control, from threatening Cassie's family to pressuring potential witnesses. This revelation silenced the courtroom, broken only by the faint, heavy sighs of the audience.
And yes, there may well be some witnesses, including
Following Cassandra, Cassie Ventura's emotionally charged testimony, which laid bare Diddy's manipulation and abuse, the prosecutor called April Lampros, a former student at the Fashion Institute of Technology, to the witness stand. She stood alone, her gaze resolute, her voice soft yet clear, each word carefully measured. Below, Diddy sat motionless, seemingly struggling to maintain composure as the mounting accusations piled higher. The judge, stern-faced, observed every moment, the wooden gavel poised to restore order in the taut, electric atmosphere. April began her story, her voice trembling slightly as she recounted meeting Diddy in 1994. A young student brimming with ambition in the fashion industry, she saw Diddy as a mentor who promised to guide her career. "He said he'd help me build my own brand," she said, her eyes briefly nostalgic before darkening. Those initial sweet promises dissolved into a prolonged ordeal of abuse. April described how Diddy spiked her drinks with drugs, then raped her repeatedly in his lavish apartments. "I had no right to say no," she said, her voice breaking. "If I refused to meet him, he threatened to blacklist me, destroying any chance I had in the entertainment industry." The testimony's crescendo came as she recounted a night at Diddy's New York apartment where he forced her to take ecstasy and coerced her into sexual acts with Kim Porter, his girlfriend at the time. "It was utter humiliation," April said, tears streaming down her face. "I felt like I was no longer human, just a toy in his hands." Her anguished words moved some jurors to bow their heads, gripping their pens tightly as if suppressing their emotions. The prosecutor argued that April's story reinforced Diddy's pattern of abuse, from Cassie to other victims, raising a haunting question: how many more remain hidden in the shadow of his power? The defense attempted a counterattack but couldn't diminish the profound impact of April's testimony. Agnafilo called another witness, a former assistant of Diddy's, to claim the white parties were merely extravagant gatherings with no criminal activity. But under the prosecutor's intense cross-examination, the assistant admitted to seeing young women, visibly intoxicated, being led into private rooms. Though not directly incriminating Diddy, this admission weakened the defense's case. Some jurors exchanged glances as if leaning toward the prosecution. As the judge struck the gavel to adjourn the day's proceedings, Diddy stood, his face shadowed, hands still clenched as if restraining his fury. Escorted out of the courtroom under tight security, Diddy left to face the upcoming sessions with the weight of accumulating evidence bearing down on him. In the shadowy margins of the Diddy case, haunting questions emerge, stirring the public's conscience. What remains hidden in the FBI's undisclosed cache of evidence? Could there be videos capturing Diddy in the act, or recordings exposing the orchestration of the white parties as a front for a human trafficking scheme? And if the evidence was compelling enough to prompt Anthony Rico, a seasoned attorney, to withdraw just before Diddy's trial, who would dare risk defending him now? The public is deeply divided, speculating on the true reasons behind Rico's departure. Some view it as a strategic ploy, a calculated move to distract the public, undermine confidence in the prosecution, or pressure the court to delay the trial, buying time to restructure the defense. They argue that Rico, with his untarnished reputation, wouldn't abandon a high-profile case without an ulterior motive. Yet most believe he stepped away out of professional conscience, unable to defend a man whose innocence he doubted. Suspicion intensifies with a leak from ex-posts claiming Rico received videos and recordings, including the chilling 2017 audio of Diddy coldly ordering help, sent anonymously through a secure Dropbox. Described as indefensible, these materials reportedly forced Rico into a moral dilemma: continue and risk complicity, or withdraw to preserve his reputation. Who was the anonymous source? A victim, a rival, or even someone from Diddy's own family? This question, alongside the potential for more evidence to surface, deepens the case's complexity, casting a heavy shadow over the upcoming trial proceedings. Amid the legal tempest engulfing Sean Diddy Combs, an unexpected figure emerged, drawing every eye in the New York federal courthouse: Christian Combs, Diddy's second son, accompanied by his girlfriend, Raven Tracy. Their presence stood out starkly in the charged atmosphere, especially as the rest of the Combs family was conspicuously absent from the proceedings. Christian, clad in a sharp black suit, sat upright in the back row, his gaze intently tracking each testimony, from Cassie Ventura to April Lampros. Raven, poised and radiant, occasionally clasped his hand, presenting the image of a united couple, yet their calm demeanor amid the legal peril threatening Diddy's empire sparked speculation. Initially, major outlets portrayed Christian as a devoted son, a beacon of hope for the Combs family against grave allegations of sex trafficking, extortion, and prostitution. However, investigators and legal analysts viewed his presence with suspicion. A source close to the prosecution team revealed, Christian and Raven's attendance isn't mere coincidence. They appeared at a precise moment, as if carrying a carefully calculated intent. Is Christian merely a concerned son standing by his father, or is he concealing a deeper strategy tied to the fate of Diddy's multi-million-dollar empire? To grasp the intricate journey of Christian Combs, one must trace back to the days when he gazed at his father, Sean Diddy Combs, as an untouchable icon, a man he revered and saw as a guiding light. Born in 1998, Christian grew up under the towering shadow of his father, but that radiant aura was soon tainted by painful truths. His mother, Kim Porter, was a devoted woman who sacrificed her life to support Diddy, only to be betrayed when Christian learned his father not only had an affair with Cassie Ventura, but also coerced Kim and other women like April Lampros into degrading sexual acts. Kim's sudden death in 2018 from pneumonia struck Christian like a dagger, transforming his admiration for his father into simmering disappointment and resentment. From this wound, a spark of vengeance ignited, not just for his mother but for the psychological scars Diddy inflicted on him. In the courtroom, Christian sat motionless, his hands clasped tightly with Raven Tracy's, his steely gaze masking a tempest within. Memories of his mother, her quiet nights recounting Diddy's ruthless control, cut into him like a blade. A close source revealed, Christian once idolized his father, but learning Diddy forced his mother into the dark corners of fame, turned admiration into fear, then hatred. As allegations of white parties and sexual assault began to implicate Christian himself, a haunting question lingered. Had Diddy drawn his son into those sordid depths? Perhaps at first, Christian was just a young man manipulated by his father, coerced into depraved acts to prove loyalty. But over time, under the weight of power and temptation, he sank deeper, losing himself in the very behaviors he once despised. His fear of his father, mingled with self-loathing, fueled a fierce resentment, driving him to seek the downfall of the man who had once been the center of his world. The Combs family, with children from multiple mothers, was a covert battlefield of rivalry and betrayal. Christian, though the second son, constantly fought to hold his place against siblings like Justin Combs and Quincy Brown, all eyeing Diddy's multi-million-dollar empire. Unfair treatment and internal scheming left him drained, strengthening his resolve to seize power, not only to protect himself but to avenge his mother and erase the wounds this family inflicted. A fresh rumor circulated that Christian had quietly gathered evidence of his father's shady dealings, a trump card to ensure he wouldn't drown if Diddy fell. Yet, deep down, is Christian fighting for justice, or has he been swept into the very vortex of power and revenge he once sought to dismantle? In a luxurious Los Angeles apartment, The soft glow of amber lights bathed the desk where Christian and Raven spent late nights poring over documents gathered from clandestine sources, possibly a former bad boy employee or someone once close to Diddy. Among them, a rumored video held evidence potent enough to shake the defense team to its core. Christian, with his sharp instincts, may have realized that an anonymous video sent to Rico would thrust the attorney into an irresolvable ethical conflict. Rico, renowned for his integrity, could not continue defending if the evidence breached legal or moral bounds. In the apartment, Christian's eyes gleamed with resolve as he told Raven, "We just need to back Rico into a corner. He'll withdraw himself, and Dad will lose his strongest shield." The plan unfolded precisely as anticipated. Days after receiving the untraceable video, Rico filed to withdraw on February 21st, 2025, stunning the legal world. In the courtroom, as the prosecutor played the 2016 video of Diddy assaulting Cassie, Christian sat motionless, but a storm of emotions churned within him. He knew this video was just a fraction of the FBI's arsenal, and he had played a part in ensuring Rico wouldn't be there to blunt its impact. Rico's absence left Diddy's defense team reeling, with Mark Agnifilo, his replacement, struggling to devise a strategy against the mounting evidence. In the courtroom, Agnifilo attempted to counter Cassie's testimony, arguing the video merely captured an emotional dispute. Without Rico's razor-sharp finesse, his rebuttal lacked conviction, swaying the jury toward the prosecution. Christian, seated in the back row, allowed a faint smirk, as if watching his plan come to fruition. Raven, beside him, gripped his hand tighter, her eyes glinting with confidence. Yet, beneath his composed exterior, Christian couldn't fully escape conflicting emotions. Seeing Diddy in the defendant's chair, he recalled childhood days when his father took him to play basketball, promising him the world. Those memories were swiftly eclipsed by the image of his mother, who devoted her life to supporting Diddy only to be betrayed. "This isn't just for Mom," Christian told himself, his gaze sweeping the courtroom. "This is to take back what's mine." To ensure no one suspected his true role, Christian and Raven orchestrated a flawless media performance. As the nation fixated on Cassie's testimony and the allegations against Diddy, Raven began openly showcasing her affection for Christian on social media. She posted intimate photos of the two, from romantic evenings on Malibu shores to hand-in-hand moments at public events. Her Instagram captions overflowed with sweetness, "By your side, no matter what comes." The media, ever eager for a love story, swiftly fell for the perfect romance of Christian and Raven. Articles in People and Us Weekly lauded them as a resilient couple facing adversity together, oblivious to the possibility that Christian might be playing a far larger role in the case. In the courthouse hallways between sessions, Raven pulled Christian outside, where reporters waited. She flashed a radiant smile, embracing him before the cameras, crafting picture-perfect moments for the tabloids. "They only see what we want them to see," she whispered to Christian, her eyes glinting with cunning. The couple's photos soon flooded newsstands with headlines like "Christian Combs, the son standing by his father, and Raven's love defies the odds." No one questioned whether Christian was linked to Rico's withdrawal or if he had sent the documents Rico received. Christian and Raven's plan, like a masterful sleight of hand, captivated the world with their love story, while the true scheme remained cloaked in shadows. Yet, deep within, Christian couldn't fully escape his conflicting emotions. Each night, back in his apartment, he gazed at a photo of Kim Porter on the table, a pang of guilt creeping into his heart. He wondered if his mother would have wanted him to go this far, or if he was being swept up in the very storm he'd created. Raven, ever by his side, clasped his hand and said, "We've come too far to stop. You're doing the right thing." But in Christian's eyes, a fleeting flicker of doubt surfaced. Did he truly control this game, or was he merely a pawn in a larger chess match? As the trial pressed on, with new evidence slowly unveiled, suspicions about Christian's role lingered. His and Raven's conspicuous presence at the courthouse, coupled with Rico's abrupt exit, raised questions about a broader. Investigators began to consider that Christian might not just be a loyal son, but a pivotal figure in undermining Diddy's defense. Yet, thanks to Raven's media charade, these suspicions remained unnoticed by the public. Would the FBI uncover Christian's involvement in supplying evidence to Rico, or would he continue to stand on the sidelines, watching his father's downfall while securing his own place in the Combs empire? These questions, like a secret poised to erupt, kept audiences glued to every twist in the case, awaiting the moment the truth would break free. The Sean Diddy Combs case has transcended the confines of a New York courtroom to become a riveting saga where grave allegations of sex trafficking, extortion, and prostitution intertwine with emotionally charged drama that tugs at the heart. From Cassie Ventura's tear-choked testimony bearing the deep wounds of her past, to the stunning withdrawal of attorney Anthony Rico and the enigmatic maneuvers of Christian Combs and his girlfriend Raven Tracy, each detail forms a piece of a complex mosaic of power, loyalty, and truth. The media buzzes, dissecting everything from Christian's image as a devoted son to fresh rumors that Raven might hold a secret recording that could shift the case's tide. This trial is not merely a legal battle, but a journey exposing the darkest corners of human nature, captivating the world's attention. As the glow of fame fades, what remains are haunting questions about the choices that shape destinies. Every development, from the taut, electric moments in the courtroom to the fiery debates on social media, serves as a quiet summons for each of us to reflect on ourselves, how we live, love, and confront temptations that can lead us astray. The story of Diddy, Cassie, and those entangled is more than a scandal. It is a mirror reflecting the value of truth and courage, a reminder that every decision today can paint the future for ourselves and those around us. What lies ahead? Will the FBI unveil more shocking evidence clarifying the true roles of Christian and Raven? Could a newly leaked document hinted at by a close source unravel further earth-shattering secrets? Stay tuned to uncover the next twists in this gripping tale, where every step forward promises moments that will keep you on the edge of your seat.